COB guest.
Yeah, it's all sit down here.
You're live.
All right, good evening. Welcome, everybody. It is Monday, August 11th, 2025. This is a regularly scheduled City Council workshop, and we are in our new fancy schmancy City Council chambers in our new old City Hall at 73 Harlow Street. Around the table, we have Councillor Fortier, Councillor Maller, Councillor Fish, Councillor Dean, Councillor Trumbull, Councillor Beck, Councillor Leonard, myself, Council Chair Pelletier. We are joined by City Manager Carolyn Lear. First thing on the agenda is a continuing discussion, recommendation of the special committee on the future of a consolidated Parks and Rec facility. Before we begin, just want to let folks know in terms of timing, we do need about 15 minutes for a break between this meeting and the City Council meeting that begins at 7 o'clock. So we will try to wrap this up by 6:45. We are joined by Parks and Rec Director Tracy Blatt.
Thank you.
We're all testing out the new chairs.
Yes, testing and such.
Yes.
Well, hopefully I'm good, but thank you.
And the chair of our special committee, Gretchen Schaefer.
Yes, thank you. Just as a way of review, the discussion we had thus far with you folks back at your workshop a couple of weeks ago, we presented to you the final report of the special committee that was appointed by council to study the feasibility study of combined Parks and Recreation facility. That report contains some recommendations for the council to consider going forward. And subsequently, we've started to craft some language on the question, which will be on your agenda tonight. Also subsequent to that, we've had some follow-up conversations with the folks at Bangor Y, and some good positive conversations about some of the elements of their project that they're well underway with, and comparing that to the feasibility study recommendations and the subsequent final report recommendations. I do want to update you on the product of that conversation here tonight. So recall that in the special committee's report, it included some recommendations that included a fitness space in the new Parks and Recreation facility. It included an indoor playground in the new facility. It included teen center and esports area, as well as a kitchen, then associated pieces that were part of the original study. It also recommended continuing to include outdoor sport facilities and fields, which also are of some need here in the community. Based on that conversation and reviewing where we're at, the recommendation now is to pull back the fitness piece concept that was part of the special committee's report. Also pull back and take away the indoor playground space, as well as the teen center esports space. We did clarify that the kitchen that's included in our original concept will be as much to support our programming that we currently offer for our childcare program primarily. The walking track that will be included, that is included in Bangor Y's concept as well as ours. I think in the darkest of winter, certainly having those spaces available to the entire community will be a benefit to everyone. So we're essentially going back to the original recommendations of the feasibility study, with the exception of recommendation in the committee's report to include the outdoor spaces. That's where we've landed today. Also on your agenda tonight for first reading is indeed the order to present the question at your August 25th meeting. I believe I've captured the essence of the conversation. Certainly having both organizations in need of space, certainly Y has been working on their campaign for quite some time. Recognize the need for their need for additional space. As we've been sharing with this group, both the Park and Rec Center currently located on Main Street and Sawyer Arena, we're in the same challenge. So that's where we have come to today. I'm going to defer to the chair of our committee, Gretchen Schaefer. I think I've captured.
He's captured everything that's been discussed since the last meeting 2 weeks ago. And the recommendation of the committee was to put this on the ballot, essentially. It's sort of interesting to be having this discussion and the brand new renovated city hall quarters, which we did for a lot of the reasons why we are asking to do a new building for Parks and Rec, accessibility, making sure it's available to all. One of the things that we talked about, and I've already spoken to my mayor about this, but I was on the council when we voted for this, and we wanted accessibility so that people could come in and get a one-stop shop that is clearly set up out there. And also I'm hopeful that the extended hours that we talked about in the original plans for accessibility for working folks comes after everyone gets received this new building. But to be in a new facility and hearing the comments as we've been walking around this afternoon, I think people really recognize what a change and what a difference this is. So my common refrain is, it is not free to do nothing. When you talk about the old boiler that we were keeping alive in the basement here, certainly costs money to replace, but it's going to have a savings a lot more. So we are still in support of putting this on the ballot and getting this facility in Bangor.
Thank you. Councilor Fournier.
I just want to ask council if I have a conflict, only because I sit on the capital campaign with the Y, and it just seems to be a little bit of a direct correlation here. So I just want to throw that up there. If there's a conflict or not.
Comments? Councilor Leonard.
If there's like a conflict between two entities, does that? I mean, I'm just asking for clarity. Does that actually create a conflict between two competing entities? Because if that's the case, then sure. But if not, I don't really see a conflict.
What's that?
Somebody would have to just make a motion.
Yeah, is there anyone who wants to make a motion that Councilor Fournier has a conflict? Okay, seeing none. Councilor Leonard, I'm sorry, Councilor Trimble.
I just had two quick questions.
Yes.
What exactly, I know we put this committee together, but what did we ask the committee to do? What did we say, come back, and what did we want the committee to do when they came back? What was the role of the committee?
The role of the committee was to review the study that was done and adopted, original feasibility study. Ensure that at least to that point, estimates were as accurate as they could be. Also include on the committee that you folks appointed was architects and representatives from the construction industry. Were there any changes that should be made to update the feasibility study and present those recommendations to the council as part of the final report? So they started meeting in April. March, end of March, 1st of April, met every couple of weeks up until the submission of the final report.
I think when we talked about this a few weeks ago, the amount was 68 million. Does this change, and these changes change the budget now? Or?
Not in looking at them quickly, not significantly. It will change our revenue projections, certainly taking a piece out that we had included as part of the special committee's recommendation. So our recovery will be a little less, but again, ultimately making sure that both facilities fit here in the community, serve the community from both organizations, and that both organizations are able to get into newer spaces that meet the needs of the entire community going forward.
Are we looking to make this decision on how we're gonna move forward with this tonight, or what do we want to do?
So go ahead, Council Fournier.
Unless you want to do it.
No, I mean, what's our goal?
Oh,
Are we trying
I thought-
to come up with a
Yeah, so-
recommendation? I know we've got a placemaker in here.
We do. So the question before the committee tonight is, do we want to continue with the process of finalizing a ballot question to be on the ballot this November? And the reason we're doing it this early is because we need the time to have the question drafted, make sure it gets out to the voters, do some voter education as to what this means for the average taxpayer. So the language that's on the agenda for tonight is placeholder language, first reading, and then we would do a final reading on the 25th of the language that we want to actually go on the ballot. Does that answer the question?
Thank you.
Okay, Council Fournier?
So we still don't know the costs or some of the cost savings that might be incurred by cutting out what you described.
So tonight, tonight I can't give you an exact dollar amount. We're in the neighborhood of 3,000 square feet from the original feasibility to tonight. If this indeed is a referral, I'm gonna ask out loud, that would go to finance for referral. So between tonight and Monday, certainly have that information for you. The timing of these conversations have been quick. So wanted to address the concept needs first. Ultimately, we wouldn't want to get ourselves in a spot where things continue to escalate in cost going forward.
Chair, could I be recognized?
Sure.
This is Dave Sefcik, City Solicitor. Councilor Fournier raised the issue of a potential conflict. I don't believe you need a motion to vote on whether Councilor Fournier has a conflict, but I think it should be decided whether that's the case and voted on.
Even though nobody has moved.
I don't think you have to do a motion to vote on a conflict.
Okay, do you want me to do a roll call vote just for the record?
That's what I would suggest, yes.
Okay,
And I don't know if there any further questions need to be asked about the details of the potential conflict.
thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilor Mallard?
We're voting he doesn't have a conflict, is that what you're saying?
A no vote is he does not have a conflict. A
No.
yes vote is he does. Councilor Mallard?
No.
Councilor Fish?
No.
Councilor Dean?
No.
Councilor Trumbull?
No.
Councilor Beck?
No.
Councilor Leonard?
No.
I'm also a no. Thank you.
Thank you.
This voice over my shoulder. I was not prepared for it. Yes, and the microphones work. Good to know. It's like the voice of God. Yeah, Councilor Fournier, please continue.
So we talked about the costs. Obviously, we don't know what the taxpayer effect is going to be, going back to Councilor Beck's question.
So we have met with our bond agency preliminary to finalize that number. So as we get final numbers for what that will cost, our understanding is that there's some opportunity to minimize the impact on the mill rate going over time. And I'm going to look to my left. Am I characterizing that correctly, City Manager?
Yeah.
Yeah. So trying to answer your question as best I can.
Yeah, I know, putting you on the.
No, I appreciate it.
Because we don't, there's a lot of moving parts.
I can get up.
Oh, no, you're way more important. We've just asked the bond council to put together a repayment schedule that reflects that this is a 5-year project and that it won't entail taking the full amount in year 1, so that we get a really accurate picture over the course of the life of the project, what those bond repayments will look like. So that when we take that information to voters, they understand in a really accurate way what it will actually do to the mill rate. We could do a rough back of the envelope math, but it would overinflate the impact a bit. So for that reason, we thought it better to do the more nuanced review.
And the last question was regarding the financials and the projections versus the historical numbers. If there isn't going to be a membership going forward, that's going to have a big effect on the bottom line. So, and maybe that's all coming to the finance committee.
I can at least,
Numbers are going
I'm sorry.
Right.
I can at least share with you, and this is all part of the original study versus what the report is. So the recommendation that was, and the information was presented to the special committee for consideration for that piece represented about a 54% recovery, of which the fitness piece was a large part of that. The original pro forma in our feasibility study that was originally done is in the neighborhood of a 45% recovery. And again, that's all part of the information that's out there now.
So we'll have those updated numbers.
Yep.
Counselor Dean?
Are we safe to assume that the figure in the first reading is probably higher than what the actual figure will be after you regroup?
I wouldn't say for sure here tonight, that's possible. So let us, once we have a better handle on the information scheduled from the bonding folks, it may be a negligible difference from the current 68 and change with around a number to 70. It may go to 66 or 67. So given the timing of the conversation we've had here tonight and in the last week or so, that'd be a good opportunity. I believe I'm going to look around the room at finance so that if indeed there's an opportunity, if there's going to be an adjustment of the number, we could handle that as part of the substitution process at council meeting.
Other discussion? Counselor Tremble?
Well, first, I really do appreciate the work this committee did on this, but I think when they looked at the feasibility of it, but at the end of the day, it's like any other committee, it's an advisory committee, it's up to us to decide. Does it make sense to go forward with asking the people of Bangor to vote for a $68 million project? And quite frankly, if we did, it wouldn't pass, in my opinion. So I think that's, first of all, irresponsible of us to put something out that likely would not pass. And then the impact on the budget. I haven't, they're just raw figures. I think just the borrowing is going to be $4 million in annual debt on the budget. And then the projections, as I recall, showed in the initial year operating deficit of an additional 1.5 billion. It goes down to like 1.1 maybe in the fifth year. So, and I think there's costs, as the city manager said, about doing nothing. We have a facility on Main Street, which is an embarrassment, really. And we need to do something, whether it's 20 million or 68 million, I think is where we need to figure out what we need to do. The soy arena needs to be replaced. It's not, in 2 years, that's not going to be a place where people can really have ice. So I think immediate needs are that we do ice and we do a new facility for Parks and Rec. What we do beyond that, I think if it's obviously what the group feels, but I'm very comfortable doing those two things at this point. I think they would pass. People of Bangor, when they're asked to do reasonable investments in the community, they do. When we went out to do the turf at Garland Street Field a few years ago, it overwhelmingly passed. When they were asked to do the Cross Insurance Center, overwhelmingly passed, like 75, 80% of the vote, because one reason for that passed is it had a funding stream to pay for the debt. This doesn't. So I think it's disturbing. This is another side issue, but the fact that, we're just tweaking at the last minute these things because of conversations with the Y, which Barry Dunn should have had during, as part of that process, they should have had those conversations. For them to just say they were aware what was going on was, they should have done a much better job than they did on this project, in my opinion. But, so I would be open to a much lower figure. I don't know what that is. I'd have to see what that would be for those two items.
Thank you. Counselor Beck?
Well, and now that so much has changed, I have to echo the previous speaker. I would like to see a choice rather than just yes or no on this. If not this, what else can we do? And I do like the idea of maybe breaking it up and, targeting needs. I like to see an alternative. I have to echo the sentiment. I do not see this passing, and I'm not going to be in favor of putting something in front of the taxpayers that, we just can't afford it. And so let's set our sights a little bit lower and because we do have a need. let's meet that need.
Council Fournier?
Absolutely. We need some ice and we need a new, I don't wanna call it a new armory, but we need a new facility. But for the first reading tonight, I'm gonna doubt it and I'm gonna vote no, because I think I need more information and I need to be analysis paralysis here. This is a lot of money involved and I just need to see more concrete and maybe I'll be turned at the finance committee next week, so.
I do have a procedural question for, I'm not sure who, but if for some reason we decided not to put this on the ballot for November, would we do a special referendum for June of next year, or would we need to wait until the following November to put a revised question out to voters?
My understanding is that June or November would work.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's a
either one.
Primary June.
Okay, thank you.
Just for tonight, consideration, come back to the original feasibility study and some of the concerns that you have all shared regarding needs. The original study was crafted essentially addressing those current needs. So it was the gymnasium space and childcare space and meeting spaces that we are using now at the Parks and Rec Center on Main Street, as well as the Sawyer Arena facility in Hayford Park. The additional sheet came about from stakeholder and focus group meetings and surveys. So the original feasibility study essentially addressed the needs that we have in both spaces currently. Again, the biggest items being childcare spaces, gymnasium spaces, and associated meeting rooms. Sawyer Arena, same approach. It was the ice and the locker rooms that go with that. So that original study did address the needs that we essentially have now. So we can go back to that, making sure that the updated construction costs are part of the special report, are part of the math that we use to generate that updated number for you folks. But again, just to answer the needs that we have, those were the needs that were addressed in the original feasibility study. We've talked about the childcare spaces that we're using now in Parks and Rec, the gymnasium spaces that we're using all over the city, the meeting spaces that we're trying to accommodate folks like the American Legion with now, our seniors group now. So that was all part of the original study.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I think there were a whole bunch of efficiencies to be had.
Mhm.
2 sheets of
That's
ice.
correct.
So that it would be good to see that information as well. I just remember in the back of my mind that there were efficiencies to be had, but it's a lot cheaper to have 2 sheets rather than one, but having that second one's much more feasible.
Other questions or comments? Counselor Fish?
The need that, our community has right now for a better facility, the ICE, especially in childcare, is huge. One of the concerns I have, besides the price of 60 million is a lot, we don't know the impact of the expanded Y, how much of the community we're depending on using our facility, how much in the future once that's up and operating, what percentage of, I don't know if the study took that expansion into consideration. I know we still have a high demand. We still conserve and there'll still be a need, but I thought we were going to do it in like phases. So I think the first phase would be what we need right out of the gate, ICE and childcare. And then we could kind of see what we could extrapolate out of the study we have start on much smaller scale, significantly smaller to address the ICE and childcare, then maybe in the future we could still build off from that core. Is that possible to kind of see what the difference would be starting out in phase one, not completely scratching it, but not coming out of the gate with a $60 million price tag?
I understand the question. Ultimately, both facilities are aging and inadequate. So the childcare piece separately would be included in the overall Park and Rec Center side. And that childcare space wasn't specifically broken out as part of any study that has been done because of the opportunity to utilize multiple spaces in conjunction with childcare. Gymnasium is a prime example. We have rooms dedicated to childcare, especially in the wintertime. They're using that gym space every day. So it's those shared spaces that having those available to the childcare program benefits the childcare program. So those pieces may be difficult, going to be difficult to carve out of an overall Park and Rec Center project. I think going forward, if I may, there may be an opportunity, and there will be an opportunity for us to review where we've landed thus far. Certainly, taking some of these elements that we have taken out might present an opportunity to perhaps reduce the total cost. Have that discussion at finance next week so that we can present the most accurate picture for you to consider on the 25th.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. We do need to move on because we're running short of time. Appreciate it.
I mean, take up the whole time.
That's okay. This is important conversation. Right, we will move on to Property Tax Task Force,
Yes.
gubernatorial appointments.
So you may recall that a couple weeks ago, I had mentioned to you that the legislature passed a task force sort of a study group to take a look at the property tax burden and ways to mitigate the increasing tax burden on Maine residents. And I had let you know that I was gonna follow that pretty closely. Since that time, I was asked to serve as an appointed member. Someone heard the video was watching. Representing towns that have 1,000 or more residents, so representing a city. I would like to do that, but I would like to do that with your support, since undoubtedly my participation would be perceived as representing the city of Bangor. I'll just know, I think it's very exciting that it's Bangor representing towns with more than 10,000 residents and not a city in our southern half of the state, so I think it's a really good opportunity.
Any concern?
No, I think it's great, and I think you might have a little experience with tax policy, maybe, so.
Said somebody read her resume. Is there any doubt? No. All right, go forth and represent. City manager updates.
I'm sure I'll regret it. Fortunately, I have pretty brief updates today. So I'm gonna pull this up from the exec session. So first, the city staff met with representatives from Teresa's Place last week. And they let us know that they're expecting that new residents are going to be moving in imminently.
One moment, Councilor Leonard has a
sorry.
So
previously
I have a,
disclosed.
previous conflict of interest here. I'm on the board of Penquist, so I'm just going to head out the door.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
So again, they're going to be begin moving in new residents eminently, really within the next 2 weeks. That should begin, although move-ins will be staggered for a quality move-in experience. They're not moving everyone in all at once. So those move-ins will be staggered over several weeks. In that discussion, we talked about having representatives from Teresa's Place come in once their big initial push of move-ins occurs, just to give council an update on the project and how things have gone. And you know, where they expect to be moving forward. The estimate that they gave us was that, you know, by the end of the move-in, they expect to be roughly 70 to 75% full, which I think is really exciting for the city. But they will come and give us an update. I'm expecting later in September, once they're through sort of the big move-in push to answer questions in that project wound up at the end. Just an FYI, Senator King is going to be local next week and has invited all of the area city managers to come and meet with him and express, you know, their priorities. Oh, I'm sorry. I just kept going. Start from the top. So next week, Senator King is gonna be local and has invited local city managers to come and meet with him and talk about their needs and priorities. And so I will attend that next Tuesday. If anyone has anything that they would like me to prioritize in those conversations, please feel welcome to reach out. And then the last item on my list is unfortunately a note about an error on the council agenda, which Councilor Mallard found in his review. So thank you. Item 25-250, it's on the consent agenda. It's a resolve that ratifies staff action to apply for a Homeland Security grant. The last line of that narrative reads that the item was recommended for approval by GovOps on August 1st. It was actually recommended on August 4th. Councilor Mallard noted he was not here on a Friday to recommend that item for approval. That because it's the narrative portion, it's fine to vote on that. It's not the official legal second page that is incorrect. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for the city manager?
That's a move then.
I feel like it would not do justice to have you talk about the move because Courtney has been the superhero. So I feel like we should give her all the credit.
I cannot take all the credit. That was, oh, hold on. Sorry. I'm having fun with this. So Courtney O'Donnell, Assistant City Manager. Yeah, this was a huge undertaking, but we are all officially back in this building, including engineering that was temporarily on the waterfront. A huge shout out to a good number of staff that went over and above to make sure that that transition was as smooth as possible. So yeah, we still have some stuff we need to work through in the coming weeks, but overall, we're very happy to be back here at 73 Harlow Street.
I think the exciting part is that the clerk's office and treasury was able to open first thing this morning and service customers without any hitch. I mean, that was really the number one goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you. Take a motion.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session 1 MRSA 405-6E, consultation with city solicitor.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. Roll call vote. Counselor Leonard.
Yes.
Counselor Beck.
Yes.
Counselor Trumbull.
Yes.
Counselor Dean.
Yes.
Counselor Fish.
Yes.
Counselor Mallard.
Yes.
Counselor Portier.
Yes.
I'm a yes.